Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. We are your hosts, Vidas Pinkevičius
and Aušra Pinkevičienė.
We've been mastering secrets of organ playing for more than 20 years and sharing them on this blog since 2011.
On this show, which we create from our home in Vilnius, Lithuania, we strive to help you grow in every area of organ playing, including practice, technique, repertoire, sight reading, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory, harmony, and many others.
Our hope is to help you become a complete musician, or what we call as total organist, a program which we have created to help you reach your dreams faster than you would do on your own.
If you are new here, we invite you to subscribe to receive free updates of this blog at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video how to master any organ composition and 10-day organ playing mini course.
And now let's go to the podcast for today. Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Aušra.
Let's start episode 367 of Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. This question was sent by Leon. And he writes, Galsworthy encouraged Streatfeild to know 3 times more than she needed to about whatever she chose to write. Does it take 3 times the knowledge of music to be able to compose? So this question, Aušra, is taken from our correspondence with Leon. And he sent me a link to the biography of an English author, Mary Noel Streatfeild, who is best known for her children's book, including the Shoes books. And this citation that John Galsworthy, English novelist and playwright that wrote the Forsyte Saga, basically suggests that Galsworthy recommended for Streatfeild to read 3 times as much as she writes as a writer, right? To read more than you would write. It makes sense actually, right? You cannot really write anything of value if you are not knowledgeable about your field. You have to get expertise by reading many books.
True, and you have to increase your vocabulary.
I just wrote to him that, for example, Voltaire recommended reading 100 books in order to be able to write one. So it was maybe a different area, different maybe background. He was maybe talking about encyclopedic knowledge, not necessarily life experiences. But Leon is wondering about how it relates or translates to musical composition.
Well, it's obviously that since very early times, composers studied each other's music. Think about young Bach, what he did, when he copied the scores from his brother's library at night in secret. It means that it meant a lot to him and he learned a lot from those scores. Because can you imagine just rewriting by your hand, copying all those scores? It's a long process.
And by this process, that was one of the main exercises to learn, copying other composers' music.
I think now we are missing this much because we are not copying by hand. And sometimes it's probably would be a nice thing to copy something by hand.
I actually did.
Just to really internalize it.
I copied the C major Invention by Bach, taken not from modern edition, but from his handwriting. Just for fun, like Pamela is also Pamela Reuter-Finstrom, our former professor, is very enthusiastic about copying by hand. So she knows the value because she did the research about Bach and improvisation. So then I thought maybe I could also try, copying just one to see. I didn't, notice any miracles happening right away, but maybe that's because it was just a single piece.
You need to write down, to rewrite, to copy all of his inventions. Anyway, now I think it's, we have all this modern technique that allows us to copy easily things.
Too easily.
Yes, too easily.
Things get too fast for us.
Yes. But now I think that it would be very beneficial if many young composers would, try to study other composers as well, not just create their own music, because what is happening right now in Lithuania, maybe in other countries too, that there are so much more people who are creating music and composing music that it's sort of like a new fashion.
Oh, really?
Really. Because like in our school, earlier we would have very little students who would study composition. But now it's almost like a, I don't know, infectious disease.
You mean like a fashion?
Yes, like a fashion. Let's say if you are incapable of playing instrument well, or you are incapable of doing something in the music well, oh, okay, I'll be a composer. That's a new fashion, and it's just too bad. It makes me really sick and upset, and I think it's a very, very, very bad thing. Very bad tendency.
You know what they say, Osha? Those who cannot play, create. Those who cannot create, teach. Those who cannot teach, criticize.
Well, I guess there might be some part of true in each of the saying, and maybe not entirely true, but there is something true about it. And I cannot force myself to perform a music, let's say, by a contemporary so-called composer that I cannot respect. That I know that, let's say, he or she or whatever, cannot do something for themselves in the music. Because I know instances when, for example, people who has no, or I would say a man who has no musical pitch, composes. And believe me, I have heard these stories both in the United States and in Lithuania as well. Because now we have all these wonderful technologies, all these musical, systems, Sibelius, and so on and so forth, that any of us can compose.
It's a double-edged sword or knife.
But do I really need to spend my time, to waste my time of learning a composition that is written by somebody that
cannot perform?
True.
Cannot play.
And cannot hear what he or she writes.
By hearing, you mean that they need to play back the music to them in order to hear it. They don't hear it inside their head.
Not only that. I'm not talking only about inner pitch. I'm talking about musical pitch at all.
Really?
Yes, in general.
So it's serious then?
It's very serious. And it's really serious. So now when talking about contemporary composers, you really need to select carefully that you wouldn't waste time, for worthless music. I'm sorry to say it, but so it is. At least that's my point of view.
Wouldn't you think that people somehow should... You're not talking about people... You're not suggesting for people to stop creating, no? You are advocating for people to start developing other skills in their vocabulary, that they could actually understand the music they are creating and even sometimes perform, if it's their instrument, of course.
Well, because if you would look at the back of the musical history, all the great composers were performers as well, and we started by performing other composers' music and studying other composers' music.
Mhm.
And now these, some of these young composers that we cannot play, that we haven't studied, enough other compositions, we start to create music of their own.
You mean like reinvent the
Yes.
wheel?
Yes.
They don't know what came before them and they think, oh, I have a clever idea, nobody else had it before, and maybe I will be unique.
Well, be honest, by now I think all those, possibilities are almost exhausted.
Mhm.
And if you do something, a little bit more crazier than another, it doesn't mean anything, at least for me. Because, trying to compose without having this good musical education, all this understanding about, musical history, about other composers, not having any skills of yourself, it's like building a house from the roof.
Maybe what hasn't been done enough is to create music out of combinations of various different elements. For example, let's say you like the genre of the fugue, but fugues have been written thousands and thousands of times before. It's nothing new. But you could, take another genre and combine it with the fugue, and maybe it has been done also. So maybe you need three things to mix in this pot to be at least partly, original. What do you think, Osha?
Yes, I think it's a good thing.
But for this to happen, just like Leon says, or Galsworthy, you need to be knowledgeable about other works that came before you and read a lot, and basically sight read a lot. Study other works so that you could take those elements within reason,
Yes. And what I'm talking and criticizing in this podcast, I don't think it applies, let's say for a church musician. Let's say you are an organist and you really need to have a new hymn composed or any kind of composition for your liturgical works. You can easily do that because you know what you really need. And it's, I think, very fine, and I encourage people of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we really need to know good, liturgical works right away. And we know what, let's say, our choir is capable of singing, or what we are able to play, or what our congregation likes. But I'm talking about that sort of very high professional composers who pretend to be very high professionals.
Academic.
Yes, academic, and who, create sort of nonsensical piece and want to push it to international festival to be performed, let's say, by a great orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about these kind of things.
Right.
I'm talking that, nowadays, maybe, ambitions of some young composers are way too high for, let's say, the beginners.
But what I can relate a little, at least a little bit, partially. I can understand a little bit why they are ignoring other composers, other works of previous generations, because they want to be original, right? That's the thing that matters: novelty, originality, uniqueness, and they feel that everything was created, and so it's better even not to bother with old stuff and start from scratch in their mind. That's how they think, maybe.
I'm not telling that you have to copy, old composers. That's not what I'm meaning, and that's not what I'm telling. I'm just telling that before composing your own, you need to know that history. It will enrich your understanding about things.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I think it's very fascinating that if you think about music, that it's only 12 different notes. And all that music was made and created out of only 12 notes. It's truly amazing.
Mm-hmm. And if you know the history of music, you can better be equipped of creating the future of music.
True, because I really think that music needs to have substance. It needs to have its form.
But again, this is within reason. I know one professor in musical academy in Lithuania who is, probably world-class expert in musical history and musical theory in general, analysis. He knows everything that there is to know. And he is, already in his 70s, I believe. And only a few years ago he started to compose. Because he said to one of his students, now I know everything and now I'm ready to create. Which is kind of crazy to me.
Well, I think that preparation time for composing for every person is different.
But waiting until you are 70...
I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
Why?
Well, sometimes it's enough to write one genial composition for people to remember you.
But don't you think that this professor knew enough to start with, like 20, 30 years ago?
Well, you just can do whatever you want with your life. You cannot do something with others' life. You cannot enforce people to do what you want.
Silence. Let's listen to the snow.
This is snow. Chewing up my words because I don't think he likes them so much.
I'm just saying that no, you cannot influence others, of course. You're right. And
you can do influence, you can try to do influence, but you cannot force them to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think when you want to make influence for somebody, you need to find subtle ways to do it rather than push forward.
Let me then clarify then a little bit my thought. I think that that particular professor didn't create music not because he wasn't knowledgeable enough to begin with, maybe decades ago, but maybe he had another reason. He was telling official reason, and he had another true reason. What do you think?
Probably yes.
That's more plausible explanation.
Sure.
Right? Because why did he start now? Maybe
now he has more free time.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because some people cannot create when we are under pressure of all kind of activities. Working, raising family, doing all kind of stuff. And maybe now it's no time in his life when he can do it and enjoy it.
Okay, guys, we hope this was useful to you. Please send us your questions. We love helping you grow. And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.
This blog is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online, where you will find courses for every area of organ playing, including technique, practice, sight reading, repertoire playing, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory and harmony, with hundreds of scores and thousands of exercises. Here is what some of the students are saying.
Hugh writes, "The sight reading course has helped me tremendously. Thank you very much for your essays, courses and all your help."
Robert writes, "I found the fingerings, registration ideas and general comments to be excellent.
John writes, I have found your download very helpful. It was really excellent. I have watched some of your teaching videos, and when I read your instructions, I tried to imagine you were teaching me. You may feel disappointed that I am 2-3 days behind, but I am a slow learner, and I have committed to taking the time to get it right, as you say. But the other night my wife commented that she had never heard me play such a detailed melody in the left hand so well. My left hand is generally poor.
Robert writes, it has been a great pleasure in my life of having discovered your courses and material as well as the YouTube work of recordings. You have a calm and pleasant way of teaching.
Ron writes, Hi Vidas and Ausra, thank you guys. What a wonderful response to my email note to you. You've got me right, and I feel you understand my level of playing. Yes, at home and lucky that I have an organ for that reason. I am paying attention to this, and I am going to try this haha no longer secret model. Yes, and I love Cesar Frank too. What is very nice about your blog podcast is that Ausra and Vidas are like a Socratic dialogue, and by bouncing things off of each other, so much more information comes out and is expressed. Your comments contain a wealth of information and understanding. I really appreciate this. It is very inspiring and will keep us moving forward.
Would you like to receive the same or even better results that our students are getting? If so, join them at organduo.lt/total-organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to receive free updates of this blog, make sure you do that at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video, how to master any organ composition and 10-day organ playing mini course.
This was Vidas.
And Ausra from Secrets of Organ Playing.
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.